Hello and welcome to my League Start build for Warbringer in the Abyssal League. I know this is coming out a little bit late. I was at PAX last weekend. I was having a lot of fun going through the boss rush event where I was able to get 5th on the leaderboard. I know it's disappointing that I didn't go warrior, but the Deadeye build was so much better than all of the other builds since they're all pre-made and I couldn't really choose the skills I wanted to use. But I've been able to grind a little bit more this weekend and I've hit level 83 on my Warbringer. I know it's a little bit far behind from some of the other players, but I'll be continuing to make changes and updates. But I think I have the build in a good enough state so that anyone else who is looking for some more inspiration with Warbringer will be able to see what I've done. So without further ado, I'll go into some of the character stats I have. So like I said, level 83. Basically mostly strength focused. I have a little bit of other attributes just for the skill gems, but I do have nearly 3k HP. All these stats are a work in progress, so I'll be continuing to pump these up for the rest of the league, but I have my elemental resistances in a good place. For chaos resistance, I'm going to probably get some of those chaos what are they called, the chaos runes, the soul cores, and slot those in, at least one of them, so that'll bring me to 71 and I'll be in a happy spot with that for now. With armor, I'm at 55% and I do have 17% physical damage reduction to add on to that, which is bringing me to the 55%, and I do have 75% block chance. For other stats, it's notable that I do have 200 life regeneration per second, and I think that's pretty much it. I don't have I don't have 35% movement speed boots, which is something I'll be working on as well. But here is my equipment. So I am running kind of like the similar thing of what I've been doing in the past. We want melee skills on our weapon, additional physical damage. Elemental damage is really nice here. Unfortunately, this is a low roll. Attribute reduction is really good, especially if you don't have a lot of strength early in the league. I hope to be able to remove that stat later on, once I hit maybe like 600 strength, but for now it is pretty critical for me to be able to use these weapons. For the helmet, just generic life, strength, rarity, chaos resist, elemental resistance it's kind of what you want there. And for the shield, kind of the same idea. I do really like the physical damage reduction line, and there's also the new elemental damage reduction using armor. From what I've seen, it doesn't seem to be that great, so that's kind of a like nice add-on at the end. Probably can't hurt, but not as good as like the old increased maximum elemental resistances. For the chest piece, this is completely, I guess, temporary. I'm just using it to have the 40 spirit right now, and has some nice stats on the side, but this is definitely the next piece to be upgraded. For my amulet, and which is missing the anointment, I think I have most of the stats I want. The only line here that's dead is mana. Everything else is kind of the same idea, with getting life, strength, resistances, life regeneration. Getting plus level melee skills is also really nice on the amulet, but it's a little bit early in the league for that for me. For my rings, pretty much just you want to fix your resistances and get a little bit of extra damage. So I like increased fire damage is very nice on the rings. So this ring is not too bad. It is missing life, but it's alright. For the gloves, fix your resistances as well as get some life and damage. Attack speed isn't too bad here. Fire damage to attacks isn't too bad. Also plus melee skill levels is also really good. Obviously a premium stat. So for the belt, just getting resistances, life, as well as just, yeah, chaos res is really nice here. Sun threshold's completely optional, but this belt covers most of the bases. And for your boots, kind of the same idea with everything, as much movement speed as possible, but it's pretty straightforward there. For all of the socketables, I am using a little bit of elemental resistances to get those fixed, and the other ones are just life regeneration per second. You can either use these or max life for now. Other ones are a little bit too expensive unless you just so happen to get some kind of like jackpot drop, in which case you can probably slot in something better than these. But until I get there, I'll be running these for the league start. For my flask, I'm using increased recovery rate, which I found to be pretty good and kind of like a substitute for instant recovery. You can also get like the 30% instant recovery, which is also good, but I found that increased recovery rate really makes it pretty speedy with the life, and I've just been using this one. Actually, I know I'm actually griefing myself by using the Transcendent one. We should definitely be using the Ultimate one, so I have the wrong one in there. So something like this is probably better for sure. And then for the charms, I think just not being able to be frozen is pretty core, and the other ones are just annoying debuffs, so I've just been running those. As for my passive points, this is a work in progress. I haven't really had too much time to fine tune everything here, but this is pretty much just what I've been working with so far. So what I've been finding is I really do like Warcaller's Bellow. This is really great during Axe. It just lets you clear a lot of stuff way easier, especially when you combine it with Infernal Cry and what's it called, Herald of Ash. Renly's training here is really nice with Turtle Charm. As you know, the block chance was reduced to 50%. This brings it back up to 75. You do take 20% of damage from block hits, and that's why life regeneration is so important, because taking that little chip damage will start to add up if you're not regenerating that life. So another thing I like to use a lot is Consecrated Ground, or I guess Holy Descent on Leap Slam, which I'll go over after the passive skills. But that's something that will really help remove a lot of the chip damage that you'll take from Turtle Charm. I'm currently using Jade Heritage here, so very similar to Olros Flask from last league. This is basically that on steroids. So what you get here is you get to have 6% of your maximum life per Jade consumed. This stacks up to 10. And you can also quality this for another percent. So I think this brings it up to 77% per Jade. So you can get 70% additional life. So when you're basically jumping in, you can pop this Encased in Jade, and it just makes you way tankier. It's also an oh shit button when you're taking a lot of burst. Obviously you have to be pretty quick and you can't get one shot, but with the amount of bulkiness that I've seen so far, that hasn't been too often where I'm not able to react in time. So this has been really nice. The alternatives here, because of my damage is all fire, I'm not going to worry about armor, so it would just be testing out Ancestral Spirits here. I don't have a way to generate endurance charges for the other totem, which would be Ancestral Warrior Totem, which I think would be really cool to use, but I haven't been able to incorporate that in. So just getting another minion off a Shockwave Totem didn't seem that great, and I've been really liking Encased in Jade so far. For the rest of the tree, mostly focusing a lot of fire nodes as well as a few Warcry and block chance nodes. So this is pretty rough, but I am taking these fire nodes over here for additional fire damage, getting some Blood Rush here for some additional skill speed, and I am grabbing these block nodes as well as some life regeneration here. I am skipping over Sturdy Metal because I haven't found armor to be that relevant yet. Maybe this would be something I will look into in the future to see how much it actually adds, but as for now, I'll be skipping that node. Taking Unstoppable Barrier, basically most of the easy to get block nodes. This Hunker Down actually doesn't give us additional block chance because it is capped at 75. It does not bring it to 77, so this one is dubious whether or not it's great. The 20% life recovery on block is pretty mediocre, and I don't really notice a knockback distance, so this might be a point I take off and opt for other points in the future. These block chance nodes are pretty needed right now to hit the 75% block chance, so that's something I can definitely optimize in the future. So other than that, it's important that you take blood magic so we don't have to deal with mana costs. Brute strength here is great since it'll give us some additional damage as well as all the strength on the way, and then we're taking Giant's blood. Obviously the life downside here sucks, but it's just what we have to do. So otherwise, I am looking to continue pathing to take the additional fire nodes here with my next level points. Other notable points would be we're not taking Resolute Technique anymore since close range stuff pretty much never misses, and I haven't really noticed it missing. So this is 1 point saved, and I guess it does let us crit, even though I'm not speccing into that. You do really want to take Behemoth as well as Unbending. These are the two nodes that give us additional maximum life, and they're pretty much just core. So I think these are pretty much non-negotiable. And then Titanic is also pretty much non-negotiable for that additional 5% strength. Whether or not you use your Anointment on Titanic to save, I guess, maybe 3 points is another question. But I would probably use that actually on... wow, actually they removed Lay Siege, huh? So that's something to be decided. I will probably still think of using it on Acceleration just for the movement speed and skill speed. That is, I believe, right here. Man, there's all these new points. It's right here, so would consider getting that. Otherwise, I am still debating on what to get. So for the Anointment, so that's something I'll update in the future on my next build video. But otherwise, I think it's pretty self-explanatory here, taking basically additional fire damage, additional ignite duration, as well as immolation here. I think other points that I normally take from the last league that I'll probably add is lasting trauma. The additional magnitude of ailments is pretty crazy, and the 20% increased duration is also really crazy. So this is probably something I'll definitely be taking in the future as well. And then Lay Siege is just too good, 75% block, additional damage. It is actually a lot of points now that I think about it. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wasted points. So that is something to consider. This may be the Anointment I'll end up choosing just to save on all of these points, unless I decide anything else here is relevant, but it doesn't really look like so we'll see. That's something I'll have to optimize. And then let's see, I guess bolstering Yao here is kind of nice for the 30% increased damage for empowered attacks. Because Warcries have no cooldown, your attacks are pretty much always empowered. The only downside is we are forced to take a completely dead node here. This one does absolutely nothing. So that does feel kind of bad, but I think this effect for 3 points is really good. Moving on to the skill gems. Like I said, Encased in Jade is from the Ascendancy. Just taking an extra level and additional duration here, so it lasts a little bit longer. So you can see that it lasts almost, let's see, how long does it last? It lasts 4.85 seconds. I'm pretty sure that does not include the gem, so I believe it lasts a little bit longer. So it probably lasts around 7 seconds. I think as we can see here, yeah, 7 seconds. Leap Slam is still the core skill for general clear. Right now I am using Fissures and Consecrated Ground. Looks like they made the Consecrated Ground a lot more visually intense, so that's pretty nice. But I'm adding Fissures here, so as you can see, at the Fissures, and if we Leap Slam again on it or Rolling Slam, it will proc the Fissures for additional damage. That's really nice, especially that I believe with some of the skills now, such as Behemoth, there are just chance for Aftershock, so it can proc its own fissure, which is really nice. So this is also something I will probably look into getting for that additional fissure chance, fissure proccing chance, which will be really nice to test out. Currently I'm testing Ancestral Cry here, and I'll look into the other one again. What is it called? It is called Seismic Cry. This is really good because it guarantees the Aftershock, which is really nice on Hammer of the Gods, but I think Ancestral Cry is just really cool. This is probably, I might actually switch out the Shockwave Totem and have 3 War Cries in there, but that's something I'll probably test out. But yeah, otherwise with Leap Slam, attack speed is just really nice. And then the next one I would add in here is probably just more damage. So Magnified Area in here. Obviously, you should use Magnified Area 2 instead of support gems. So that's something to upgrade. I think going from 1 to 2 should be pretty obvious throughout. So if I'm ever using any support gem 1, then just use the second one. Rolling Slam is still going to be the main, I guess, DPSing, like kind of like boss stun build up. It's going to be a little bit less relevant here because we'll be using Forge Hammer a lot too, which I'll show in a second. But I think it's still really nice to have, especially with Aftershock chance, close combat, and fire attunement. This is basically just ramping the damage with attack speed, and Aftershocks to proc fissures as well as the Forge Hammer. For the bossing ability, it's going to still be Hammer of the Gods. Essentially pretty much the same as the last league, getting more ignite damage from this, so increasing the magnitude as well as making it burn faster. And then we have increased the duration for more damage and just more elemental attack damage for a bigger burn. For Infernal Cry, this is going to be the main, I guess, clearing War Cry. You can see this will basically give it a chance to not consume the attack on the Empower, or the empowered attack when used, so that's really nice. Increasing the duration so that they're just marked longer and just the bigger AoE. For Overwhelming Presence, I am using Vitality for life regeneration, and then for Herald of Ash, I'm getting additional fire level, additional area effect. Cannibalism here is really good, and I also like Deadly Herald. Forge Hammer's the new skill here. I'm going to just skip the Shockwave Totem, it's just kind of good for stunning. Forge Hammer is the new skill where you throw a hammer and you can bring it back. So that's pretty neat. And then if you Warcry over it, it will proc it to cause a spiral fissure to come out. So in this, cause that fissure to spiral. Over here, I basically have additional fire damage, more elemental damage, more attack speed, as well as a decreased cooldown. So the cooldown is normally 8 seconds. With the decrease, it brings it down to 6. It's still a little bit long for taste, but definitely better than what it is at the 8 seconds. So this is really nice just for clearing as well as adding more boss damage, because you can rolling slam on top of it and it'll cause the fissures to spiral out, especially if you layer maybe a couple leap slams on top, and then you have basically 3 fissures going on, so that's going to do a lot of damage. And honestly, that's pretty much it for the skills. Ancestral Cry is just neat. Essentially just gives you ancestral boosts on all of your slams and basically making you do a lot more fire damage. I think this is just really cool, especially when clearing abyssal like mobs, but realistically I don't know how much I actually need it, so this is something that it's just here for fun for now because it's new. Other than that, I believe the Atlas skill tree is still empty for me. This is something I'll be filling out soon and getting back to you guys on that. So with that being most of my character, I'm just going to run a map. I have this tier 14 map that's pretty straightforward, a little bit of extra damage, a little evasion, and they're a little bit more resistant to stuns and ignites. So that's just what we'll be running here. And I will be running, let's see, decay should be fine. As you can see, my map is pretty empty, so I don't have too many options here. I basically just got to endgame a little while ago, so haven't had too much opportunity to do a lot of optimizations. But I did feel like this build was in a pretty good state, so I wanted to get it out for you guys. So as you can see, we can leap slam and just throw the hammer down, and I'll pretty much just be spamming the war cry here, just in general, because it will be popping all of those corpses. So as you can see, it clears really good. I have no issues basically taking out swarms. Obviously, I think it's slower than where my leap slam build from the last league was, where I was able to pop everything, but it's still really satisfying here, and I find like the enemies here clump up pretty hard, so you can kind of just pop all of them as you're kind of running by. So yeah, you can kind of like leap slam and then just throw a war cry out, and that actually kills them a lot of the times. And you can see here, when you fall down, as long as there's not too many of them, it's not too bad. And with consecrated ground, the health regen is really good. Here I'm not using a flask at all, and as you can see, the damage here is not too bad, even though there's a little bit of extra damage on the map. I do know it's tier 14, not 15, and we're not like doing any additional levels on here, but we're being pretty early in the league. I think it's in a pretty good spot, and I think it'll probably take me this weekend to really be able to get this build in a more like well-oiled machine. But I think with how the build is right now, it's functional at least. It's getting to a point where you're not dying from everything is pretty difficult, but once you have all your resistances as well as the block chance up, it's actually pretty tanky. So you can see I can use Encasing Jade here, and a lot of the damage just immediately becomes trivial. I should have probably been using it earlier, but it's a pretty new skill, so honestly I just forgot. So here we can throw this hammer in the middle and then just start leap slamming around and proccing the fissures. So I can throw my totem down, which will also proc the fissures. The fissure damage is based off of the hits, so it's obviously not going to do that much, but it's just kind of nice to have it on top. So when you see your like health drop, you can just throw Encasing Jade up, and that's pretty effective at keeping you alive. So I found that the Forge Hammer is really nice with the Expedition here, so we'll be able to show that. With the simple bubbles. Okay, let's see. Grab that, grab this, that. Ooh, I do want this one, so let's go around here for this. I don't want the chaos damage because I'm not chaos capped. Ooh, that's also very nice over there. Let's try that. With all the corpse explosions here, they just all kind of kill each other. We use our Encasing Jade here, bring up our defenses up. Here I'm going to use the Ancestral Cry, and you can see just lots of explosions everywhere. Pretty trivial to kind of like go through all of these mobs. This guy's giving me a half HP, very annoying. But that was Expedition, pretty chill. start this thing. Ritual is pretty nice as well. They kind of clump up, and a lot of the times they'll just stay in the circle of the Forge Hammer. And honestly, the corpse explosions are really effective at just clearing them all. So when you pop them, there's lots of pops all around. Nice and smooth. So you can see these magic monsters aren't too bad either. And here we're getting to an abyss. I'm throwing Case and Jade, so I'm not taking basically any damage. You can see here my guard at the top is pretty much maxed out. And honestly barely went down. So some Jade here will be helpful. I'm using Ancestral Cry just so we can get some clear here. Hammer of the Gods here for the big guy. Should be dead from the Ignite. So I just basically jump and then Warcry and then just watch them pop. Especially if some die, then it just like kind of gets them all. So you can see there's a lot of dead bodies here. I'm not even doing anything but Warcrying. Just letting them kind of kill each other. So I'll say all of that is very satisfying. Let's see, so coffer please? Oh, okay. We'll take it. Obviously, exalts aren't worth a lot. I mean, surprisingly, the market is moving really fast. I guess unsurprisingly at this point, but yeah, starting a couple days late is really rough. I know, it just came out on Friday, man. It's only Tuesday. And it feels like everyone's in late game. Pretty nuts. Hopefully I'll be able to get to 90 something this weekend. And I'll definitely create a follow-up build with basically better everything. So you can kind of see where I'll take this build in the late game. But so far I'm really enjoying the Warcry. And whether or not I'll be able to switch to using totems or not is something I'll basically see if I can figure out. Because I'm not saying that it's super necessary at the moment, but something that I'll definitely do if it makes sense. What the hell is this? This looks funny. I'll grab that. And then I'll just grab that and call it a day. Take a support gem. But yeah, as you can tell, that was not the fastest. There was some mechanics and it was a little bit slow, to be fair. I wasn't going through that as fast as I could, but I wasn't really too, I guess, strained on staying alive there. And no, I don't think it was a max modded map either, but that's just where the build is right now, and hopefully I'll be able to clear a lot more content pretty soon. I think once I bring up the HP to about 4,000, it'll get a lot more stable in terms of all of that, and once I get perfect rulers on a lot of the skills, obviously the damage will go up leaps and bounds. So this is where I have the build right now. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys in the